All right, guys. So in this section 3.1, it's about functions and graph. So the first thing I want to do is solve some problem with you, and along the way, I will give you some advice about this section 3.1. So I'm going to do problem number 13. I'm going to choose my color blue. Problem number 13. F of x equal 2x plus 1. So I have a function of x equal 2 times x plus 1. And we have to calculate f of 3. I'd like to remind you, what does that mean, f of 3? It means that what is the value of my function when x equals 3? Meaning that I need to substitute x by 3 into the expression of my function. So therefore, I'm going to end up to have 2 times 3 plus 1. And so f of 3 equals 7. Now, if I have to calculate f of negative 5, I will have to calculate f when x equals negative 5. And so that means 2 times negative 5. And I will use my parentheses every time I'm using negative number, plus 1, which is going to be equal to negative 10 plus 1. And the answer is going to be negative 9. If I try to do problem number 15, on the problem number 15, it is very interesting because you have f of x equals 6. And when you look at that, I always tell you that the first tool you have to solve a problem is to use your eyes and describe what you see with your eyes. You can see clearly that your function is not depending on x. A function of x does depend or not of x. In that case, it doesn't depend on x because you don't see any x on this side of your equation. Meaning that when I'm going to calculate the value of my function when x equals negative 2, meaning that I want to calculate f of negative 2, there is no way I'm going to substitute x by negative 2 on the right side of my function, on my equation, because there is no x. So the answer will still 6. Same thing when I'm going to calculate f of 0.4, it will still be equal 6. Let's try to calculate the problem number 16. So when I try to do the problem number 16, we do have a function. Now this time the function is a function of t. And they are telling you that this function is expressed as 7.2 minus 2.5 absolute value of t. So when they're asking me to calculate f of 2.6, basically I'm going to substitute t by 2.6 into the expression of my function times the absolute value of 2.6, which is 2.6. So I'm getting a 7.2 minus 2.5 times 2.6. And my calculator is giving me, so I'm going to take my calculator right now. And with you, I'm going to do 7.2. And if you want to do your calculation, maybe you can use a parenthesis right here. Minus, open parenthesis, 2.5 times 2.6. And the answer is going to be 0.7. Now, if I want to calculate f of negative 4, I'm going to have 7.2 minus 2.5 times the absolute value of negative 4. The absolute value of negative 4 is going to be positive 4, so it's negative minus 2.5 times 4. And 7.2 minus 2.5 times 4 equal negative 0.8. Negative 2.8. Negative 2.8. Now, we've seen function that does not present any fraction. In this problem 17, we are dealing with a function phi of x. So when we want to express a function, we usually use the letter f for f of x, but it could be anything. In that case, it's phi of x, and the function is defined as 6 minus x squared divided by 2 times x. And we need to calculate, phi of x, and we need to calculate phi of 2 pi. So that means I need to calculate the value of my function when x equals 2 pi. Meaning that everywhere I'm going to have x, I will have to substitute x by 2 pi. Now, we're having x squared, so I need to put 2 pi in parentheses because if I don't put 2 pi in parentheses, if I just write 2 pi squared, only the pi will be squared, not the 2. So I must have the whole x, and x is equal to 2 pi. So I must use my parentheses to calculate 2 pi squared, divided by 2 times 2 pi. That gives me a 6 minus 4 pi squared, divided by 4 pi. I would take the opportunity, when I see that, to remind you that you cannot simplify the pi, because what you have right here, it's 6 over 4 pi minus 4 pi squared over 4 pi. You can simplify the 4 and the pi right here, but you cannot right there. So if you take your calculator, I'll let you take the calculator and you will find the answer. But please, when you are going to use your calculator, open a parenthesis, use 6 minus 4 pi squared, and then divide by 4 times pi, and use a parenthesis also right here. Let me do the calculation for you. And if I didn't make any mistake with my calculator, I'm getting a negative 2.66. All right, now let's try to do problem number 22. So if I want to do the problem number 22, what do we have? We have a function which is uppercase t of lowercase t, which is kind of odd, but why not? And it's equal to 5t plus 7. 5t plus 7. The question is, calculate the function when t equal 2t plus a minus 1. 2t plus a minus 1. Meaning that basically they're asking you to calculate t of 2t plus a minus 1. That means that every time you are going to see a lowercase e, you will have to substitute by 2t plus a minus 1. So now you end up to have t of t, and not TNT like the song, t of t equal 5 times 2t plus a minus 1 plus 7. You distribute your 5 by having 10t plus 5a minus 5 plus 7. And you end up to have 10t plus 5a plus 2. And that will be your answer. Then they are asking you to calculate t of 2t plus a minus 1. Meaning that every time you are going to see t in your expression of t, and I would like to remind you that the expression of t is right here, you will have to substitute t by 2t. So that means that I'm going to have to t of 2t plus a minus 1 is going to be equal to 5 times 2t plus 7, but I need to add also plus a minus 1. The answer is going to be 10t plus 6 plus a. All right, so now let's try to do problem number 29. All right, so in this problem, they are telling you square the input, multiply this result by 3, and then subtract 4 from this result. So basically, they are telling you that the function f of x is equal to, the input is going to x, and you need to multiply, you need to square the input. So it's going to be x squared. You need to multiply this by 3, so it's going to be 3x squared. And then subtract by 4 from the result. So you will need to subtract by 4. And that is basically what they are telling you. Square the input. Input is x, so it's going to be square of x. Multiply by 3, that is going to be 3 times x squared. Subtract 4 to this, and you're going to have 3x squared minus 4. Let's try to do another one. Let's try to do problem number 30. Cube the input. So I'm going to write f of x. And cube the input, that means I'm going to have x cubed. Add 2 to this result. So I'm going to add 2. Then multiply the entire result by 5. So I'm going to multiply the entire result by 5. And so now I got 5x cubed plus 10. Problem number 33, and that will be the last problem I will do for you. Problem number 33. We have state the instruction of the function in Word as example number 8. And the example number 8, it's about function of set of instruction with the word input. So we have f of x equal x squared plus 2. So that would be, square the input and add 2 to the result. All right, guys, thank you.